This is Aaron Shedlock. You're listening to the audio flow.
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 You're listening to the audio flow with Jacques. Listening to audiobooks never sounded so good.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Audio Flow. I am your host, Jacques, and as always, excited to be here with you guys. So today is Halloween. Happy Halloween, everyone. I'm sure you're out trick or treating or trick and treating if that is your pleasure or your desire, or you've had lots of fun this past weekend dressing up as your favorite alter ego, or perhaps you have little ones and you've taken them trick-or-treating. I really don't know how that whole process works. I'm not sure if it's during the week you go and celebrate on the weekend, or you still celebrate on the actual day. I don't know. But we here at the Audio Flow are celebrating Halloween today, and as something fun, I wanted to kind of chat with narrators that I haven't been familiar with who actually narrate horror books. And so this week's guest is Matt-Godfrey, and I'm excited to chat with him about his latest release and also some of his earlier releases, and kind of get into his head about his interest in horror as a genre. And maybe we'll even play a game that deals directly with Halloween. So please help me welcome today's guest, Matt-Godfrey. Hi, Matt. Welcome to the Audio Flow. How's it going?
Hey, great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good for almost the end of October. Can you believe that it's basically almost Christmas?
No, I can't believe it. I cannot believe it.
This year went by super fast, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, there was like pumpkins at the grocery stores a month ago, I feel like.
See, that stuff really irritates me with the early celebrants. I'm like, can we just wait until October when you're actually selling pumpkins? I don't know. It's just like Christmas trees in September or August.
No, I know. Well, I mean, I agree. I don't want it to be too early, but I like I feel like Halloween starts holiday season, which I'm like all about. Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and then New Year's is like the best time of the year. Well, plus my birthday, my daughter's birthday, my wife's birthday, most of my in-laws' birthdays, and my family's birthdays all fall within like those 3 months.
Really?
So it's like, yeah, it's like really awesome and fun. I don't want it to start too early, but once we get into October, it's my favorite.
It sounds expensive.
Well,
for you.
it is, but then the rest of the year is like really boring and nothing happens. So we just, which is kind of lame, but I mean, it's what we have.
That's funny. So is your birthday in November or December?
Well, okay.
October.
Mine is January 9th. I added myself. I'm a little past that, but it's close enough to where it feels the same.
Okay, so you kind of wrap up the season. We'll call it that. You're the end of the wrapping paper.
Yeah, exactly. But my wife's birthday is the day after Christmas. So she gets like by far the worst birthday because all of our friends are out of town. So there's nobody for her to hang out with. Like all the restaurants are closed. It's not a great birthday.
I feel her pain because I'm a Thanksgiving baby. So sometimes my birthday falls on Thanksgiving, and either way it falls around the holiday, and it's really difficult for people to remember because they're so engulfed and excited about Thanksgiving that they're like, Happy Turkey Day and all of this, and oh yeah, it's your birthday, happy birthday. And so that's kind of how it
Yeah,
works out,
that's
so,
true.
yeah.
That kind of
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday because it's like it's the same. I mean, I love Christmas too, but it's essentially the same thing as Christmas, except there's not presents. So that like bit of pressure is gone, and you just are eating and watching football and hanging out with people.
Exactly.
But the presents are all coming to you, and you're not having to buy any for anyone else.
You
So
know,
that's
that's
actually a
true.
pretty good Thanksgiving.
Except then Black Friday happens, right? And so if my birthday is on Black Friday, I hear from nobody. It's like we're out shopping. Sorry.
That's true. Well, I'm sorry.
Thank you. That's basically what it boils down to. I'm sorry your birthday falls around a holiday. But
I am
yeah.
just, I am so sorry.
That's okay. This year, I my birthday is fantastic. Doing some great things with the podcast and speaking with people like you and getting to find out more about you and sharing your work and experiences with other people. So that's an early birthday gift for me. So I'll take it.
Well, thanks.
So let's talk a little bit about you. Um, Actually, I think you and I connected through a Facebook group, perhaps. Maybe one of the groups. Uh,
Yeah, I think that's right. There's so
okay.
many audiobook groups. I have a hard time remembering which one was which. But yeah, that seems right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was looking for narrators who performed in books that were outside of the romance genre, and you actually contacted me and let me know that you were one who narrates a lot of horror books. And so, how befitting is it that you and I get to chat right before most of my friends' favorite holiday, Halloween?
Oh yeah.
And you know, it's so weird. I never really think of Halloween as a holiday. Does that make me weird?
I mean, maybe a little, but not terrible. What?
Tell me how you really feel, Matt.
No, I mean not. I feel like most people think of it as a holiday, but what do you do? Do you not do anything on Halloween?
But see, I think of holidays as days you get off from work. Like, who
Oh,
actually
well, that's true.
gets off work on Halloween unless they're so into it that they take the day off? So,
Yeah,
I
that's true.
it's more like an occasion, I guess, and we celebrate it by just dressing up and eating lots of candy. I don't know.
I
That's
mean,
kind
that's pretty well. The, I mean, my confession is, as a horror person, I like scary stuff.
of
I like scary books and scary movies, but I don't dress up on Halloween. Like most of my friends do, and I can't. I don't know what it is. We have a daughter now, so like I feel like maybe now I'm gonna do it,
uh-huh.
but it just doesn't feel right to me. I don't know.
You should. How old is your daughter?
She's almost 2.
Oh, so you definitely have to. Except you can't be a scary person. You have to be something
No,
kind
no.
of dad-like and fun.
Yeah. I think this year we were talking about making her a fisherwoman, and we were gonna like dress her up in galoshes and a raincoat and give her like a fishing rod, and then we were gonna make like one of those little red wagons into a boat, and then
Uh-huh.
maybe my wife and I were gonna be fish that she caught, which is like it's the most random idea for a costume. It's not. It doesn't reference anything. It's just like some random thing. But she's just so cute. It would be really good. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that'll
Well, you
happen.
sound like you're really into it for somebody who says they don't dress up anymore to actually want to dress up as a fish for your daughter. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like it would make her happy. Although I don't know. Maybe she wouldn't even care. She
She,
doesn't. She doesn't
but
really know.
that's so funny when you described that costume. All I thought about was Paddington Bear for some reason.
Well, it is like a Paddington Bear outfit that I'm picturing. Yeah.
Okay, so we're on the same page then. I think that would
Yeah.
be kind of cute. You should do it. You guys should totally do it and take pictures.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely take pictures.
All right, well let's talk about you and your career in narration. So, you and I had a chance to chat a little bit, and I've been going through your Audible library, and all of them are, you know, a little creepier than the books that I normally listen to or even watch anymore. When I was younger, I think I was more into horror because I thought it was funny. And now I think as I got older, I'm more scared. I don't know why. It's so weird. So, what's kind of been your fascination with the horror genre?
Well, me too. I started at a pretty young age. Like I remember on my mom and dad's bookshelves when I was a little kid, they had like the Amityville Horror, I remember, was one that both my parents had read. And then like we would sit down on Friday nights and always watch a movie. Like when I was in elementary school, we would always watch a movie on Friday nights, and it was mostly scary movies because they both liked scary movies. So it was like we were watching The Omen and the Amityville Horror and Alien when I was like pretty young, but I mean, I don't feel like an inappropriate age, but still pretty young. And so I feel like it's just what I've always liked. However, I do agree with you. As I get older, my tolerances have changed. Like I'm not a fan of ultra violence or splatterpunk or any. I mean, I think that those are valid subgenres, but they're just not my thing.
Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned The Omen and Amityville Horror and stuff like that, and I will tell you, as when I go back to some of those stories, of course, there was the Friday the 13th and Michael Myers and those type of things. Slasher, I call those slasher
Yeah.
films. And then so the creepiest movie that I can remember was Nightmare on Elm Street, and for some
Yeah.
reason that one totally freaked me out. I don't think I wanted to sleep for a couple weeks, and I think I had to be around 12 when the first one came out. So do you have one of those movies or books that kind of did that for you, where you were just totally creeped out for a long period of time?
Oh boy. Yeah, I probably have a lot of them. I also watched the Nightmare on Elm Street movies probably when I bet I was probably 12 or 13. The first one is still really scary. Like it's a really well done movie. The first Halloween is a really amazing movie. Like, I mean, there are a lot of horror films that are just terrible.
Yeah.
But they're still kind of well loved because they're fun. But those movies are, I think at least, legitimate, like really well done films. Oh boy. Okay, but your question was there one that like really flipped me out? The Exorcist, I still have only watched one time.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I was probably in my early teens. I watched it with my dad, I remember, and I still have not watched it again. I've read the book, but I don't know. One time I'll watch it again one day because it's amazing and wonderful. But I mean, it messed me up.
Yeah, and you read the book too? How'd you get through that?
I read the book more recently.
Okay.
Because I've sort of have like a new love for 1970s and 80s horror novels. And The Exorcist was one of those first. It was kind of like Ira Levin's Rosemary's Baby, Amityville, and then The Exorcist were kind of like all that kind of kicked off the 70s and 80s horror boom. So I wanted to go back and read those sort of seminal works or whatever. So I think I read it from a more, academic is not the right word, but a more educational standpoint to understand the genre better. But yeah, it is just, that movie is terrifying.
Yeah, you were brave. I can't believe you read the book and saw the movie. Most people I know have seen the movie once. It's not like a repeat. It's not like, oh, The Exorcist is coming on, let me watch it. It's just...
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not. It's not like a popcorn movie.
Right.
I also listened to a really long podcast interview with William Friedkin, the guy that directed the movie, and he is just a really interesting guy. Like, kind of eccentric, and I feel like he was exactly the right person to make that movie. And it made me want to go back and watch the movie again because he's brilliant, and his ideas are really smart. So I feel like I should watch it again with a
more power to you, Matt, on that one. I will not be joining in that with you. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Neither will my wife. My wife doesn't like any. She doesn't like a lot of horror stuff. Some stuff she can get behind, but Silence of the Lambs is one of her favorite movies. But aside from that, she's not into scary stuff, so I have to watch it all by myself.
Yeah, you're on your own with that one. Just watch it in the daytime when the lights are on and stuff, and maybe that'll help. But Um, that's
Yeah.
just me.
I know.
But
I feel you.
yeah, so how did you actually, get into narration? Do you have a background in acting or theater or anything like that, or did you just kind of stumble into narrating audiobooks?
Well, yeah. So I have a background in acting. That's what I studied in college.
Okay.
I studied theater and English.
Mhm.
Um, and then I moved after I graduated. My wife and I moved to LA, and we lived there for about 8.5 years.
Mhm.
And that's what I did. I was an actor. I got most of my work in commercials,
Mhm.
but I did films as well, mainly independent films. I don't think it's a lot you would have heard of, frankly, but I did. I did like a Chevy ad, a Progresso soup ad, an Old Navy ad, a Call of Duty video game ad, um, a few other things. But
Mhm.
I did an episode of that TV show on Netflix, Santa Clarita Diet. That was super
Oh, okay.
fun. But I stumbled into audiobooks, I don't know, maybe like a year ago, I think. I'd always wanted to do audiobooks because reading is one of my favorite things. Like it's kind of lame when people ask you what your hobbies are and you say it's reading. I mean, it's not actually lame. Like I think it's amazing, but it's just not like a great conversation starter.
Yes.
Like
Like, what do you like to do? I
what do
like
you
to
I read,
read.
but I really do. I mean, I love it. And so it's like this weird little melding of acting and reading. Uh, and I studied theater and English, so it's like it just is this weirdly perfect fit for me. But it
Mhm.
was one of those things where you say that you want to do something, like you say, oh, I want to learn how to narrate audiobooks, but then like I don't know why it took me 2 years to ever Google it, but like for some reason I just didn't start, and I stumbled across um, this website ACX, which is owned by Audible, and it's basically a way for independent authors to get their books turned into audiobooks. And they post them on this site, and you can send in an audition for it. So I did that on a book, and it wasn't the first book I ended up doing, but it was the first book I auditioned for. It was this book called Breaking Matthew. It was the second book in a series, and it turned out I didn't realize it at the time when I auditioned for it, but the author um, went to the same college that I went to. So we
Oh,
kind of started a relationship through that. So I know I'm supposed to not be talking about romance, but this is like a historical romance
you're
series that I'm
fine.
still doing.
Uh-huh.
So here we are. And she just turned out, she's a really great writer and she's really nice. And it's a co-narration with this other narrator named Andy Arndt, who is, I mean, no exaggeration, she's one of the best narrators. She's
She
won
won the Audie this year.
multiple Audie awards.
Hmm.
It was the very first thing I auditioned for, and it was just this weirdly fortuitous, like a high quality project. But then I was with Andy, who's amazing. It was just like a really good way to start. So it ended up not being the first book I did. I did another one in between that audition, but it just kind of worked. I mean, acting in film is something I still do, but it was just like gears grinding. It was like just you would get something and then it would be a year before you got something else. And this is a common story. Everybody
Yeah.
says this, but it's just super hard. But and I don't mean that audiobooks aren't hard. I just mean for whatever reason it was like something clicked into place and it felt like this was a thing that might actually work, and I legitimately just love it. It was so fun.
Yeah. And so do you have your own home studio? So this that helped that you get to work from home most of the time.
Yes, it's amazing. It is so good. I see how it's not good for some people's personalities, but my
Hmm.
wife and I both work from home,
Hmm.
um, and we're both introverts, and it's just really nice to just like be at home all day.
Yeah, one, it saves gas, and gosh, you can just keep your jammies on and not have to worry about, what you look like. Not saying that you don't care what you look like, but
Well,
as soon
that's a struggle because it's almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon and I am still in my pajamas as we speak. And the other day, um, my wife came down to where I was working and she was like, are you going to shower and like put on your clothes? And I was like, well, I mean, I don't think I was planning on it, but you're right. I should really do that.
I think we all fall victim to that because I work from home too, and there's days when it's just like, okay, this is it, and then about 9 or 10 o'clock at night, I'm like, well, I guess I should shower. I mean, the day is
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
Does it really matter? I
Yep.
mean, nobody's offended but the dog, and he doesn't care. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. It's the same over here.
okay, good. I don't feel alone then. Okay, so I'm glad that that was something that you wanted to do. You don't meet a lot of people who say, well, some people say, I really would just wanted to do audiobooks, but do you um do you find that preparing for an audiobook when you're getting ready to do an audition is very different or very similar to if you were going to do a face-to-face audition or a table read? Are there some similarities or differences there?
It is very similar principles, but a different execution. Not that all actors approach characters the same way, but I mean, there's kind of when you're auditioning for a role, one character in a film or something, let's say, you're given a little bit of the script and you analyze the script, try to figure out the context if you can, because oftentimes you're not given the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you're just trying to figure out, like, bottom line, what does the character want? And then that's what you're playing in the scene.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty similar. It's pretty similar, or for me at least, in audiobooks, except you're doing it for um, all the characters, not just one.
Right.
So I feel like, but however, like then auditioning in person, there's this whole other set of technical stuff in terms of, okay, now I'm in front of a camera. How big can I be? How small do I need to be?
Mm-hmm.
What, like movement. There's this whole other set of things that doesn't really exist in audiobooks. And you just do it all with your voice. And so far, I have found that to be more fun and more freeing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if people, every once in a while, I'll do like a live video on Facebook, but I feel like if people saw me narrating, they would think I was like a freak because I do all this like weird stuff to make me sound certain
That's
ways.
the fun part.
It is, but like that would never work. And if you in an on camera thing, or they would
Yeah.
just be like, "Wow, we're not going to cast that guy. What was wrong with him?" Um, so
It's
it's like
kind of
similar. It's similar principles, but it just works itself out differently.
Yeah, it's kind of like The Voice, you if you ever watch The Voice and all they have is what they hear, they don't really see what the person is doing. And so, as I have more of these conversations, I've learned that a lot of you guys have different mannerisms or things that helps you be able to get into that character. Like you said, things that you may be doing, and you're doing more horror, so there may be some really interesting things going on in the background of what you need to bring that character's voice to life, or I don't know if someone is running and they're scared and all that kind of stuff. But in your booth, do you have a mirror? Because I always think you guys should have a mirror so you can see what you look like when you're making those voices and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. No, I don't have one. I that might be. I don't know if that would be good or bad. I don't know if I'd like to. I don't think I would like to look at myself
You need a
while I
mirror,
did it. I
Matt.
think
I'm
it
just
would.
gonna tell you, you need one. Put a
I just
mirror
don't
on.
know. I don't know that I would like what I was seeing while I had to. It's kind of nice that I have no idea how stupid I look when I do this.
Well, I'll tell you, if you had a mirror in there and you were able to look at yourself and read the lines, and record at the same time, then I would say you were really talented. So maybe just put the
Yeah, that's a lot.
the mirror, just put the mirror in there for my benefit, and then just have your wife pop in and do a video with her taking a picture of the mirror while you're recording, and see, there you go. There solves my problem of me wanting to see you make the faces in the mirror.
All right. I mean, maybe so. It's a temporary thing then.
Yeah, temporary. You don't have to leave it in there, unless you want to fix your hair before you start recording or something, which I don't think you really care about that part.
No, so, I mean, I'm still in pajama pants, so that obviously doesn't matter.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. So, was your latest release Blackwater?
Yep, it just came out like 8 or 9 days ago, I think.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about that. It says Blackwater, the complete saga. So is that more than one book in that audio? Is it a box set?
Well, yeah, kind of. It was written. Well, okay. So it's sort of an interesting story with me and this particular book. A long time ago, maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, I read Blackwater for the first time, and it's an incredible book. Like, it's legitimately, I mean, sometimes like you narrate books and it doesn't matter whether you like the book or not, honestly, but like it's a job and you take it. And for the most part, I've really liked the books that I've done. Blackwater is a positive exception in that I have loved it for years, and so much so that it's been one of my favorite books I've ever read. And so I had the author has passed away, and I had been in contact with his estate because I wanted to turn it into a film trilogy, which is a really grandiose idea that I never would have been able to pull off, but I'd tried, and I couldn't get anywhere with his estate. So I'd wanted to work on his work for a while, and I started working very early, like maybe my third book. I started working with this publisher called Valancourt Books, who, if you are listening to this and you like quality literary horror, and that's not the only thing that they publish, but because it's my primary interest, it's what drew me to them. They are an incredible publishing company that resurrects a lot of out-of-print 70s and 80s horror, which is like right down my alley. It's this weirdly specific little thing. And they had published that author, his name's Michael McDowell. They'd published most of his other books. And I had said, hey, if you guys ever get the rights to Blackwater, please let me narrate it. I really, really want to. So they finally did, and it's thought of by many people as this particular author's masterwork. And it was published serially in 1983. So it was I think it started in the spring. I'm not 100% sure, but it was published over the course of 6 months, and one book came out a month, but they made up one big novel. So it's kind of a box set. Man, this is a really long answer to your question. I'm just realizing this podcast is going to be 3 hours long.
No, it's not.
It's kind of a box set.
Basically, you gave me all of that to say it's kind of a box set, but you know what?
It's kind of a box set.
It was good. It was good background information, because maybe there are other people like me who didn't know about his works, about Michael's works, and the fact that you enjoyed it so much and you got an opportunity to narrate something that's kind of, I guess I want to say near and dear to your heart, which sounds so cliche, but I guess that's kind of what it is. And it's
true.
Available. So that means I need to listen to it. Now, am I going to be totally creeped out?
No, not at all. Not in this book. I've done books that are consistently scary throughout, but this book is not trying to be that, which is what makes it so good. It's mainly, it's 85% a family saga. It takes place in southern rural Alabama. And I was born and raised in Alabama, so it was kind of another neat connection for me. But and it basically follows the life of the Caskey family, and they're a wealthy, affluent family in Perdido, Alabama, and it follows the kind of rise and fall of this clan of people. And then like there will be moments of horror that are just kind of jutted in there. But it's very funny. The author has a great sense of humor. It's very funny. It's a bit like I don't remember where, I wish I could credit the person that said this. Somebody said it's like Gone with the Wind meets Creature from the Black Lagoon, which is pretty accurate. It's like 85% Gone with the Wind and whatever that math equates to, 25%, is that right? 15? Yeah, okay. I don't have to figure, I just get to read what other people write. I don't have to be able to figure it out for myself. 15% Creature from the Black Lagoon. It's a great book. It's really cool. It's extremely long, so like it was like 1,000 pages long. So you're not gonna like listen to it in a week, but it's completely worth it. And the ending is so beautiful. It is really worth it to actually listen to the whole book.
Okay, so I need to space it out a little bit and take my time and not try to listen to it in 1 or 2 sittings, because that probably won't happen.
I just don't even, it's like 30 hours long, so I don't think.
Okay, no. Unless I'm not sleeping or anything like that. And I do enjoy my sleep.
That's important. It's important. But no, Blackwater is really good. People who don't like horror, I don't want to scare them off from it, because it's only like, it is a horror novel, I guess, but only marginally so.
Okay. Well, we'll go with that. So we're going to listen to a sample of Blackwater.
Sometimes Queenie thought she could hear the doorknob rattle. One night, she heard the window in its sash and thought, "It's the wind." A few minutes later, she heard the rattle of the doorknob and thought, "It must be a change in the temperature." Then she was certain she heard footsteps, light and secretive at first, up and down the length of the porch, then heavier, as if in mockery, as if to say, "And what is the explanation for this, Queenie Strickland?" She quickly picked up the telephone, but just as she lifted the receiver, the sound of the footsteps stopped. But the footsteps returned the following night, and again when Queenie lifted the telephone, they stopped. This time, however, as soon as Queenie put down the receiver, the knob of the front door rattled frantically. Then the front door was kicked in its frame, kicked, and kicked hard, and then the steps up and down the length of the porch resumed, loud and angry strides in boots. Queenie followed the sound from one end of the porch to the other. They shook the house. The glass in the windows shook, the candelabra tinkled together, the crockery shook in all the cabinets, the boxes in the bedrooms surrounding Queenie's slid about, and the small animal raced frenziedly about in the attic. All at once the noise left off. With a rattle and the echo of a rattle, the house was still. Queenie huddled in her bed, waiting for the sound of the boots to begin again. All remained quiet. Then Queenie, still staring in the dark, slowly reached for the telephone. Just as she did so, the closed door into the hallway was suddenly framed with a white, soft light, as if a lamp in the front parlor had been turned on. Then the light grew stronger, as if perhaps the chandelier in the dining room had been lighted. Another intensification, this one much greater, led Queenie to believe that the hallway light itself had been flicked on. Other lights came on in the house, until the doorway was framed in a blinding illumination. Yet all was quiet.
Matt, thank you so much for sharing that little snippet with us. And so now you've got us all intrigued about wanting to listen to Blackwater. I'm excited about it. It may or may not be my Halloween listen, but off of your other books in your library, what do you think is one that will kind of grasp those persons that are really into or big time horror fans that would totally be perfect for the Halloween season?
The perfect book for you to listen to on Halloween that I've done at least is called Haven by Tom Deedy. Okay. And it's, I mean, it does it a disservice to say that it's like another book, but just as a simple way to describe it, it's similar to Stephen King's It.
Okay.
It follows a group of kids in small town, in a small town called Haven, and there's some sort of, I mean, I don't want to spoil the book. There's some sort of evil stalking the town, and it's kind of up to the kids to stop it. It's also, I mean, it has a Stranger Things vibe. It's a period piece. It takes place in the 70s. So it's got kind of a Stranger Things feel going on. It's really fun. It never stops. From the first chapter, it is like action packed to the end. If you like scary books, it is perfect for you.
All right. So even if you don't, I'm going to try it too now. Are there moments in any of these books where the author writes somebody screams or something? Do you actually scream? Or do you have a screaming audio voice?
That's hard. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you can't really get around it, and something needs to be scream. But I mean, you can't just scream, or it'll. I mean, it doesn't. That just doesn't work. I mean, okay, if it's a character speaking and they're doing it like very angrily that approaches a scream, I would probably do like the exact opposite thing and bring it way down, but just make it really pointed and really mean and kind of just that kind of low growl or something that I feel like plays a lot better than a literal yelling would, you know. I as long as you play the emotion of anger or fear or whatever, it works better. But I mean, sometimes you've got to like yell, and I'll usually just like aim that over the mic, if that makes sense, just like not right at it. You know what I mean?
Yes, I know. And I kind of just I always want to scream, but then I'm like, I'm sure the people on the other end that are listening are going to be like, man, that was way loud. So I'm assuming that's probably why you guys don't do it.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. And I mean, plus you have to, our levels on the mics are set a certain way. And then like, if you scream into it, it overload, you know, it clips and sounds terrible. Yeah, it just doesn't really work.
Yeah, we don't want that to happen. So Blackwater was your latest release. What are you working on currently?
I'm right in the middle of recording. So Haven, the book that I just mentioned, I am recording Tom Deede's next book, which is called Eternal Darkness. A real upper of a title. It's not. It is not depressing. It's a very fun. Again, it involves kids facing an evil in a small town. That also makes it sound like the exact same book, and it is not. I promise. It's very different, but a lot of the same themes of like growing up and friendship and banding together against something. But it's like, you know, it's a group of little boys and they're all cursing, which is really funny. I don't know. It is also a really, really fun book.
Okay, it sounds good. You know, interestingly enough, when I was younger, I used to read a lot. I was a big fan of John Saul. John Saul and Dean Koontz, and I think I was more on the supernatural end, which seems like with this book maybe considered more supernatural horror than just, you know, horror, which is like I can do that.
Almost everything I've done, let's see, let me just think. Not everything, but almost everything I've done is supernatural horror.
Okay.
Yeah. Haven is supernatural. Eternal Darkness is a vampire novel. Blackwater is, I think you would call it supernatural. Blackwater has a fun kind of secret to it that I don't want to give away, but yes, I think you would say it's supernatural. Yeah, I did a really fun British ghost story called Sweetheart, Sweetheart. That was a fun take on like a haunted house book. So I like supernatural is what I like too.
Okay. All right. I might be able to do all except The Exorcist and The Omen. I don't, or The Amityville. I don't do well with those, but everything else I can kind of do, I think. So So I'm good.
I feel like I haven't done anything as like relentlessly terrifying as The Exorcist. I feel like everything I've done you could listen to. There's nothing that is just 100% horrifying.
Okay. Would you ever do something that would be on the same lines of The Exorcist? Could you see yourself narrating something like that?
Yeah, I probably would. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want to do that type of book all day, every day, because it would just be so, oppressively dark.
Yeah.
But, I mean, as long as it was, like The Exorcist is at its heart a really interesting story about good versus evil, and it has a certain heart to it. Or like books like Haven, which has a lot of really dark themes. Violence against children is one of them, which normally is a personal trigger for me. I don't really, in movies and books, it's not that it shouldn't be written about. It's just, it's tough for me to read, as it should be, I guess. But if the book has a heart to it, I mean, Haven is the kids all have this amazing bond, and they're really funny. And the book is ultimately about friendship and parenthood in a lot of ways. So like there is this backdrop of horror, but that's not the book. It's about the humans involved in it. Yeah. So that makes it, fun.
That makes a lot of sense. I did an interview with an author, Michael Nost, and he also writes horror books, and he mentioned something very similar to that the horror aspect of the monster is not really what the whole story is about. It's about the relationships of the other characters and how they work together and those type of things. So it's nice to hear that other people say that too, for people like me who haven't really done a lot of the horror and tend to just focus on whatever that present evil is or whatever that monster thing is that's, terrifying everybody, versus the relationship that the people have together that kind of shows through the story. So makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
So now I'm on board because I feel better knowing that I'm not gonna have to listen to it just in the morning, and I can listen to it at night. Maybe.
I think you'll be fine. I think anything that I've done, you'll be fine. There's nothing. There's not a lot. There's not like I haven't done anything where the devil possesses somebody.
Yeah,
I haven't crossed that threshold yet.
Okay, good. I won't be crossing that threshold with you, but all the other stuff,
no,
I'm totally okay with. All right, so before we go, there's a couple things that I like to do. So what I started doing with all my guests is I tell everybody my favorite game is called Heads Up, and it is a game that Ellen created. And if you ever watch Ellen, she does little games and stuff with her guests, and I like to do things like that too. And Heads Up is like one of my favorite games because it reminds me of Taboo and $100,000 Pyramid. Are you familiar with any of those?
Yeah, I'm familiar with Heads Up.
Okay, good. Do you guys play that often?
I mean, not often, but my wife and I do really like it.
Okay, well, we're going to play today. We're going to do, your category is Trick or Treat, since this is our Halloween edition, and all of the answers are related to Halloween, of course, because I said it's Trick or Treat. So let's see.
Okay, all right.
Let's see how well you play. And, all right, Matt, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. First clue. Who the heck? I have no idea who this is. Okay, Kim and Chloe and
Kardashian?
Okay, that's the last name. The first name. What's the name of the waitress's name in Cheers that was always snarky to everybody with the curly hair?
Oh gosh. But this is a Kardashian? Hold on.
No,
who are the
it's
Kardashians?
Just the first name. I don't know who this is. Maybe it's a Halloween costume. I don't know, but she okay, we'll come back to that. I have to pass it. I say because boo.
Ghost?
Yes. Flip.
Nope.
The name of this particular season that we're talking about that's coming up on October 31st.
Autumn, fall, Halloween.
What's the name of? Yes. Okay. Luke, I Am Your Father.
Darth Vader.
Yes. A cat has these. They're kind of like not a mustache,
Claws,
but
fangs, whiskers.
yes, whiskers. Okay, you did pretty good.
I mean,
The
we
first one
got
was
off to a
Carla.
really bad start.
We did. We'll have to start up. Hey,
We
what
need to
does
do that
mean?
again.
Okay, the first one was Carla Kardashian, who I have no idea who that is.
I've never heard of that person. Carla Kardashian?
Yeah, I don't think that's a real person.
I don't know who that is.
They just threw that in like a Halloween costume or something.
I don't know. Sorry, Carla Kardashian, that we don't know who you are. If you're listening, we apologize.
Okay. Should we do that category again?
Yeah, let's do it again.
Okay, all right.
Redemption.
Here we go. All right. Place on forehead, blah, blah, blah. All right. Make it easy. Oh, this is what vampires lay in at night.
Coffin?
Yes. This is a person who navigates a boat when they go to the Navy. This is
I thought that was a navigator. I don't know.
A person in the Navy is called a blank went to CCC to see what he could see.
A sailor?
Okay, and then not the sun, but the
moon.
Okay, put
Sailor
them both together. Yeah.
Sailor Moon. That's
yes,
an anime thing, I think.
I know it's a cartoon. Okay, when somebody is just really evil, we call them this. It's also a Broadway play that deals with the witches from Oz.
Oh, Wicked.
Yes. Not the morning, but the
night.
Yes. Witches fly on these.
Broom.
Yes. I'm gonna keep going. What's the date of Halloween?
October 31st.
Yes. You did good on that one. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, I mean,
that was pretty good.
Yeah.
That's respectable.
Okay. Third time's a charm.
Okay.
All right. Maybe I just suck at clues. I really
well, Carla,
suck.
I'm hung up on Carla Kardashian.
I know
that's not.
I know.
I don't know a lot about the Kardashians, but I don't think there's a Carla.
I know somebody messed up. They made a mistake. All right,
somebody out there knows who it is, and they think we're an idiot right
now. We are.
Yeah.
Okay. Witches put these on people when they curse them.
Spell?
Yes. Turn. Okay. Spring, summer, winter, and the last one is a season.
Fall.
Yes.
Fall.
Okay. This also witches use this when they put a whole bunch of stuff together in a pot. They make
cauldron.
What are they making?
A brew.
Another word. Love.
Oh, what is that
99.
word?
It's a song.
Wait, say that again. You broke up.
Oh, it's a song. Love blank 99.
Oh, potion. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. This is when you're in an older house and people use this and they throw you in this particular room.
A dungeon?
That one. No. This I don't even know who this is from. It was a cartoon with the girl with the red hair and she
Jessica Rabbit.
Wolf, and she was like a wolf shifter.
I don't know who that is.
It was Merida. I think that's her name.
Oh, Merida. Oh, that was a bear.
Oh, she was a bear.
No, her mom turned into a bear.
Oh yeah, I knew it was somebody was a shifter and she had red hair. That was the extent. But okay, so the other one was trapdoor. I didn't know how to say trapdoor.
Well, well, everybody's got one.
Yeah. You did great. You're fantastic. I would totally play the $100,000 pyramid with you in real life.
Well, thank you. I feel like that went pretty well. We're not going to win any awards, but it was all right.
Okay, but next time you come on the show, we'll do a different category. Maybe we'll do one of the adult ones, or there's a 70s one on here too, but I fear that I might not be able to give you all the answers, even though, I was born in the 70s, but I don't know. We can try.
I don't know.
We can try.
I'll try.
We'll do it for the last one and see how well we do.
All right.
Okay. Okay, there's the 90s. Oh, there's another one that says, as seen on TV. Oh, 70s fever. Okay, here we go. For the win, it says, we can tell by the way you used your walk that you love the 70s. Test you and your friends' knowledge of the disco era by helping them guess the word on the card without saying it. Okay, so I could tell this one's gonna be difficult. Like it might be.
It's going to be disco focused. All right, well, let's try this. I don't know if I'm going to know any of this, but we'll try.
We'll try. I mean, it doesn't hurt, right? Outside of groovy, if that's the 70s, that's probably as far as I get. Okay.
I feel like, yeah, that's the 70s, I think.
All right, here we go. Good luck, Matt.
Thank you.
Oh, really? Okay, it was a band. The first name of their the band name is a color. Red and white together makes this color.
Pink.
And what's the last name of the group?
Oh, Pink Floyd.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I love this song. It's by Lips, and it says, "I'm gonna take you to this." Oh gosh, won't you take me to?
Oh, Funky Town.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, back in the 70s, little girls wanted these so that they can make cupcakes and stuff in this little bitty.
Oh, Easy Bake Oven.
Yes. Oh, this is the giant thing you see when you go out and it sparkles and it shines around, and the 70s.
Disco ball.
Yes. Oh, they're great. Frosted Flakes.
Frosted Flakes.
No, what's the dude that says it?
Oh, Tony the Tiger.
Yes, you got it.
Okay, we did better on that one. What's going on there?
Oh, we're 70s heads.
I guess. Tony the Tiger. I don't associate him with the 70s. I guess that's when he came out.
I guess so. Who knew, right? So if we add everything up together, we got 5, 6, 11. Not bad. 16 total out of 4 categories. We're averaging 4 per category, so that's not too bad. There's only 7 in each one, so good job.
Who's the best person that you had on? Who did the best at that?
Let's see. I played this game with Exy.
Exy Sands?
Yeah, I'm trying to think who else I played with. I did one version that I made up myself with Michelle Sparks, and she did really good. And we did those based off the books that she narrated. So that one was interesting. And then I want to say I played it with Aaron Shetlock, but I don't remember. And maybe I played with Melissa Morin. So
yeah. So, but you're telling me that I was not the best.
No, you did really well. So the other categories were like, so for Exy, I think we did adult supervision, and then somebody else we did New York, and I sucked at the New York stuff because I'm not from there, so it was a little difficult. But I think you probably were the top 2.
Okay, that's all I wanted to hear. I just wanted some affirmation and somebody to tell me how good I did.
You did absolutely wonderful. Look, I'm going to throw in the clapping sound effect for you because
Thank you.
You're awesome. And when you come back, I will make up some categories, and you can even do one for me. So we'll see how how your skills are and see if I suck, because I might just.
Oh, all right. I don't know. Okay. This is a challenge.
Oh man, Matt, it's been so wonderful chatting with you today, and thank you so much for being on the audio flow. And before we go, I would love for you to tell our listeners how they can find you and your work either on social media or on the internet.
Yep. I'm on Twitter at Godfrey Tweets. And my website is matt-godfrey.net. And I'm on Facebook too. You can find me on there, just Matt Godfrey. Awesome. Or actually, no, you know what? I really should plug this. I don't do a good job of updating it, but I will. If you go to facebook.com/matt-godfrey audiobooks, that is my professional page.
Okay, that's his professional page. Everybody go there. So now, since you've put it out there on the show, of course, that means that you have to go and update your page.
Yeah, it is updated. It's just like, there's something, you know what I mean? Like, there's something about if you just constantly do, this is not the way you wanted to end your show, but here we go. If you just like constantly do like business updates, it's like, kind of boring. You're like, oh, this is just some guy promoting his stuff. I don't know. It just feels weird. Like there needs to be something fun on it, is what I'm saying. I'm working on the fun. Hasn't happened yet. But you know what?
Do the fun.
I
That's
know.
right.
If you just find me on like my personal page on Facebook, that's better. I don't know.
We're gonna help.
Here's
you
what I'm
with the
saying.
fun.
Here's what I'm saying.
Okay, what are you saying,
Don't.
Matt?
I'm saying don't find me on Facebook. Go to my Twitter. Twitter is much more fun. I do fun stuff on Twitter.
He's like, scratch the whole Facebook. Don't find me on Facebook. Just
don't go there.
Straight to Twitter.
Don't go there. That sucks. Go to Twitter. That's more fun.
Okay, well, we will be sure to find you on Twitter, of course, because you've only got 144 characters to entertain us. If you put a picture up, you've only got 117. And if you add a website or HTML or something, then you're down to 80. So if you can get that all done within that amount of space on Twitter and be fun about it, I'm all there. I'm all for it. So you
I feel like I'm okay at Twitter. Like I feel like I know how to do Twitter. Okay. Facebook, I don't know. There's no constraints. I can just talk for as long as I want, and that's a mistake. I like the constraint of Twitter.
Oh, okay. I get it. Well, fun thing for you is that you'll be able to post this podcast on your page, on your voiceover page. That'll be something fun, and then people will know that you're very competitive. Then they'll want to do competitive stuff with you.
I will do that. It will be there.
Yes, sounds good. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here on this episode of the Audio Flow. Be sure that you are following us on Facebook because, unlike Matt, we enjoy actually going and doing fun things on our Facebook page. So follow us on the Audio Flow. And we do also tweet. So you can find us on Twitter at _audio_flow, and also on Instagram. We do post pictures, so you can find us on Instagram at the Audio Flow. We do like to keep it a little bit consistent, and you can also find us online at www.theaudioflow.com for more information about what we do. If you're interested in being on the show, be sure that you go to one of those platforms and let us know your interest, and we'd love to chat with you. Also, big thanks to my producer, Danielle at Firefly Productions, and my assistant, Rebecca, who keeps everything in line for me. Until next time, remember, audiobooks, it's love at first sound. Have a great week, everybody.